For my final major project, I intend to look at environmental issues, and more specifically the idea of sustainability and human choice. Previously in my work, I've looked at the effects of consumerism on mental health and well-being. This is involved in experimentation in the last module with self-portraits, which was really a kind of useful process for me, as it made me reflect not only on my photography, but also on my reasons for making work and my motivations for being on the course. I'd always had the view that my FMP project would be a continuation of this research into the relationship between modern lifestyle and mental health, and concerned with the idea of how photography can be used as a therapeutic medium. So I'd always planned to run some photography-based workshops with local organisations for my final outcome. But now, at the beginning of this module, I'm beginning to change my ideas. I feel like I've been focusing too much on negative aspects, and I was becoming quite disconnected from my work. Doing the self-projects did help me to engage in the project again, but I want to feel really excited about it and to enjoy it, and I wasn't really feeling that. And I think that after watching some of the FMP case studies on Canvas, I just thought I really want to do something that I care about, and I want my work to be something that I enjoy talking to people about. The idea of climate change and environmental awareness is so important to me. I actually enjoyed working on the Oxfam project more than my own research project in the last module, so I figured this is a good way to go. My plan is to produce something which falls under a broad theme of sustainability. Not only does the subject interest me, it's very current, and it also allows me to examine the idea of sustainability within photography itself and to respond to questions about the impact of the medium on the environment. What I want to do moving forwards is to use my work to talk about something that I really care about and have a passion for, and rather than focusing on the gloomy, pessimistic perils of materialism, I intend to look for positive action and impact. In terms of what the project will look like, I will visit people who live sustainable lifestyles who have a low impact on the environment. I want to interview them and photograph them. I plan to shoot a variety of environmental portraits and documentary shots, and I want the end body of work to be a celebration of humanity and hope, rather than the environmental cost of human progress that's so often depicted around this topic. I don't yet know how the end project will look, but I'm going to use words from the interview footage to explore relationships between images and text, because it's something that I found really interesting in previous modules, the ways in which text can be used to alter the reading of an image. I think that it will also be really interesting to apply some of the techniques that I learned in the Surfaces and Strategies module around reusing, recycling and rephotography, given that recycling is one of the more commonly practiced ideas around sustainable living and is key to my concept. I have a few ideas around this, potentially using either images or artefacts gathered and borrowed from my subjects to publish alongside or incorporate in my own images. It's described in a book that I'm reading at the moment as bringing forms of archive and narrative into alignment. When I think about what the final outcome of the project will be, I envisage a handmade book containing my own images, as well as these other found images and artefacts that are relevant. It's a method that I used previously in Surfaces and Strategies, and I think that it could offer the potential to be a more sustainable way of showing work in a book format. I'd like the book to accompany an exhibition, and part of my research will be to establish what's the least damaging way to the environment of doing this. I've previously, in my commercial work, used upcycled picture frames and photomats that I've found in charity shops to display my photos. And I've also done some initial research now on printing using recycled paper. However, I have considered that an online publication might reduce my impact on the environment more and be more ecologically friendly than any other form of display. I just don't know enough yet about the impact of digital technology on the environment to weigh this up against my other options. Part of me thinks that the work will have to exist somewhere online to be useful for me as a promotional tool. And although it's a primarily personal project, I do want to be able to use the work to help me with my commercial practice. And vice versa, I would like to think that the process will help me to make my own commercial photography work more sustainable. From an aesthetic point of view, I would like to continue to develop with the realist or documentary kind of style that I'd been working towards with self-portraits in the last module. I want to move away from the more literal and postmodern collage work that I've done in previous modules. But this will be informed to some extent by the research that I do on working as an environmentally low impact photographer. I want to try and establish whether using film or digital would be the best route to follow to achieve this, and if different formats can offer some kind of synergy with my concept. So I might end up shooting on film or even using pinhole cameras. I'm thinking about some of the challenges that I might face. I think this might include practical things like getting access to the people or places I need to be. I've started to create a list of people that I'd like to work with, and so hopefully enough of these will respond positively and be happy to contribute their thoughts and some artefacts to the project. Working with film, well, particularly pinhole cameras to shoot portraits might be an issue. I think with the pinholes, the exposure needs to be much longer than a person can stay still for. So I'm guessing that we would have to use artificial light or maybe just use film as a non-electronic alternative. And then of course there's time. I feel that it's maybe a risk starting with a completely new concept for the FMP, but I'm hoping that I can use enough of what I've learned in previous modules about processes and theory to make a successful body of work in 6 months and not leave it feeling half done or finished like the Santa Clara that you can see in this picture.